Okay, picture this. You find the absolute perfect job. You're so excited, you're ready to apply, and then you see it. Please submit your CV. Or, wait, was it resume? Are they even different? It's a moment of panic we've all felt. But don't worry, we're going to clear all of that up right now.
So let's just dive right in. What's the deal? Resume or CV? What are employers actually asking for? And more importantly, how do you make sure you're sending the right one to tell your story in the best possible way?
Believe it or not, the answer starts with the words themselves. You've got resume, which is just French for summary, and then you have curriculum vitae, which is Latin for course of life. And that, right there, is the whole game. One is a short, sharp summary. The other is the entire story of your professional life.
Okay, so knowing that one's a quick summary and one's your whole life story, how in the world do you figure out which one you need for the job you're trying to land? This table really lays it all out. Just look at the audience. A CV is for other academics, while a resume is for recruiters in the business world. The goals couldn't be more different either. A CV is all about showing your complete academic background. A resume, its only goal is to prove you can do one specific job. And that totally changes the length. A CV can get super long as your career grows, but a resume has got to be kept to just 1 or 2 pages, tops.
So the main takeaway is this. You're probably only going to use a CV for these very specific kinds of jobs. Think university positions, research institutes, or high-level roles in science and medicine. It's a very specialized tool for a very specialized world.
A resume, on the other hand, well, it's for pretty much everything else. Business, nonprofits, government, you name it. For the vast majority of us, the resume is going to be our go-to document, like 99% of the time.
All right, so since the resume is the one most of us are going to be using, let's spend the rest of our time together really mastering it. We're going to look at how to pick the perfect format to make your strengths totally pop.
When it comes to building a resume, you've basically got 3 main flavors to choose from. There's chronological, which is all about your work history. There's functional, which puts your skills in the spotlight. And then there's the hybrid, which, you guessed it, tries to do a little bit of both.
First up, let's talk about the most common one out there, the chronological resume. You can think of this as the gold standard. It's the classic format that recruiters are used to seeing. It just tells your story starting with your most recent job and working backwards.
And why is it so popular? Well, this quote from executive coach Sylvia Angeloro just nails it. She says recruiters need to place you in time and space. They want to see, at a glance, how your career has progressed. And this format does that better than any other. It's simple, it's clean, it's easy to follow.
So, who should be using this one? It's definitely the best choice if you've had a pretty steady career path. It's also great if your most recent experience is super relevant, or if you work in a traditional field like finance or marketing where they like to see a clear upward trajectory. But, it's not perfect for everybody. On the plus side, recruiters love it, and the computer systems, the ATS, can read it easily. The downside? If you have a gap in your employment, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And it doesn't give you a lot of room to highlight your skills first.
Now let's look at option number 2, the functional resume. This one basically flips the whole thing on its head. Instead of starting with where you worked, it starts with what you can do. It's all about your skills.
But I have to give you a little warning here. Resume writer Claire Levy calls this one the resume world's black sheep. Why? Because it can make recruiters think you're trying to hide something, like maybe you've been job hopping or don't have the right experience. It definitely raises some eyebrows.
That said, it's not all bad. In some very specific situations, it can be a total game changer. You might want to consider it if you're changing careers and need to show off your transferable skills, or maybe you're a recent grad without a ton of work experience. It's also great for downplaying any gaps in your work history. And that brings us to our third option, the hybrid resume. This one tries to give you the best of both worlds. It kicks things off with a big, bold skills section, but then it follows that up with your standard chronological work history.
This format can be a real powerhouse for certain folks. It's fantastic for people with really specialized skills, like software engineers. It's also great for career changers who have the right skills and want to show off a solid work history. Freelancers and consultants love it too.
Okay, we've gone through all the different formats, but now let's get down to brass tacks. Because no matter which style you choose, there are some universal truths, things that all recruiters are looking for.
First and foremost, you have to get this. Recruiters spend only a few seconds on each resume. No, I'm not kidding. Literally a handful of seconds. That means your resume has to be crystal clear, super easy to scan, and make a huge impact, like immediately. You have zero time for fluff.
And if the human reader wasn't scary enough, here's the number that should really get your attention: 97.8%. What's that? Well, that's the percentage of Fortune 500 companies that use Applicant Tracking Systems. These are the software robots that read your resume before a person ever even sees it. If your resume isn't robot-friendly, you're out of the running before the game even starts.
So, knowing you have to please a robot and a human in less than 10 seconds, how do you actually do it? Well, let's wrap up with the simple rules that'll help you create a resume that stands out for all the right reasons.
Okay, here are 3 things that your resume absolutely positively needs. First, readable fonts. Just stick with something simple like Arial or Calibri. Second, measurable accomplishments. Don't just list your duties, show your impact with hard numbers like increase sales by 20%. And third, a clean and simple layout. Stay away from fancy graphics or tables that will just confuse the robots.
And just as important, here's what not to do. Inconsistent date formats, they'll trip up the system. Creative section titles like My Career Journey might sound cool, but they just confuse the software. Stick to standards like Work Experience. And like we said, avoid weird file types, graphics, and tables. Keep it simple, keep it clean.
So after all that, it really all comes down to this. Whether you're building a massive CV or a super targeted resume, you're really just doing one thing. You're telling a story. And your career story is completely unique. So the only question left is, how will you choose to tell it?